Now, ABC 7 News at 5 on your side.
Shots rang out at the gate outside the National Security Agency, leaving one man dead and another injured.
This happened at the entrance to Fort Meade on Connector Road. That's just off the Baltimore-Washington Parkway. Maryland Bureau Chief Brad Bell was one of the first reporters on the scene. He's there live with more on how this may have begun with a stolen car and a wrong turn. Brad?
Yeah, wrong turn is right. You know, this began with an awful lot of violence. Our first reports was that a car was ramming the gate at NSA and police returned fire. The only vantage point from News Chopper 7, we want to get right to that video. And when you see that video, you'll see a police cruiser bashed up. You'll see another SUV nearby, and you'll see a white sheet on the ground. That's one of the suspects from the car. And what we understand happened is this car approaches the gate to one of the most heavily guarded, most secure facilities in the world. Officers tell the driver to turn around, but the driver does not obey those commands. Barricades pop up. The driver then tries to ram that police car. That is when officers open fire. One of the suspects killed on the spot, the other seriously injured. One of the police officers injured in the car crash. And then this backstory that you talked about. Police looked at the suspect, realized that they're cross-dressers. And we had an opportunity to look into the stolen car. Our sister station, WBFF in Baltimore, tracked down the owner, and he admits that last night he met two men dressed as women on a street in Baltimore and decided to take them to a hotel in Howard County. Now, this morning, he woke up, realized that the men had vanished, his car and wallet had been stolen. He reported that car stolen, but we understand there was no chase. It was simply that these two suspects took a very wrong turn, and it appears as though they panicked when they saw police. So the FBI is still investigating this case, as are we. We'll have more coming up at 6.
Thank you, Brad. That injured police officer was taken to Maryland Shock Trauma in Baltimore. Suzanne Kennedy picks up our team coverage live from there. Suzanne?
Maureen, we have spent much of this day parked outside the emergency room here at Baltimore Shock Trauma Hospital. This is where we saw ambulance 21 that was parked in front of the hospital, the same ambulance that brought that officer here from Fort Meade. We want to show you some aerials from earlier today that showed that particular officer wounded as he was about to be transported. He was able to get himself on the gurney. He had his right arm in a sling, his left arm by his side. It looks as if he had been bloodied in the incident there. He was talking and conscious, able to move his head. We talked to a hospital spokesperson, and due to medical privacy laws, they were unable to give us any information about the officer. We do know from sources on the scene, though, that the injuries that he sustained were not life-threatening. Late this afternoon, we saw a man believed to be a colleague of that NSA officer leaving the emergency room. He had with him a large bag that had what we believe to be the officer's uniform. That bag went right into the vehicle. That officer hopped in the car and took off. We're not certain if the officer remains here at the hospital this evening. Again, those privacy laws prohibit us from finding that out. Reporting live tonight in Baltimore, Suzanne Kennedy, ABC 7 News.
Thanks, Suzanne. 10,000 people live at Fort Meade. Another 51,000 work there. 55% of those employees are civilians. That's more than 28,000 people. 28% are military, more than 14,000 of them. And 17% are contractors, about 8,500 people. Leon?